Hi, this is Debbie with Book and Bujo, where I talk about all things books, bullet journals, and stationery. Today I am doing my October TBR-opoly. Let's plan a TBR. Okay, Becca just released her Spook-Oplathon video for her October readathon, except I already did my TBR-opoly for October. So I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go. So I have a couple of options. So I can either go ahead and just roll an 8-sided dice, whatever number comes up, that's how many rolls I do for Becca's board. Or I take the rolls I've already done for TBR-opoly and I do those same rolls for the Spook-Oplathon board, and then either read different books for both or combine the two prompts to pick one book for the two different prompts. Because I also have my 13 spooky reads for October that I do. So I have all of those books as well. I try and get as many of those books onto my TBR as possible. I mean, at minimum, I'm reading 13 books in October. And then whatever else may happen to come up with TBR-opoly and Spook-Oplathon. Okay, I feel like that was really long-winded. Let's just go to the rolls. All right, we have about a week left in September, so not a whole lot of time to finish the rest of the books on my TBR. So I am making the readathon, so the magical readathon, my priority. So I want to get those books read first, and if they happen to be on my TBR-opoly, great. If not, then I will just not pass my TBR-opoly. So let's go ahead and go through all the books and see how I'm doing. So I do have the reward of Skip My Next Punishment, which I have a feeling I will be using for October. The other one was a free reroll. So if I have a roll that I don't really like, then I can use that and roll again. Okay, roll number 1 was an odd card, and that was a Dice Roll Roulette, and this was also a magical readathon prompt, I believe. And for that I rolled a 3, and my book had to be between 301 and 400 pages, and for that I read A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, and it's the second book in the Wayfarer series, and I did read that. Roll number 2 was another odd card, and that was a Goodreads Choice winner, and for this one I read Saga Volume 6 by Brian K. Vaughan, and I did read that one. Roll number 3 was an even card, and that was to read a poem. And for that I read The Phoenix and the Turtle by William Shakespeare, and I did read that one. I actually read that one and listened to it on audiobook separately. So I listened to it first and was like, it was pretty, but I didn't get it. So then I read it physically. That helped a little bit. But then I did a little research and tried to find other people who are a little more savvy with poems and got the gist of it that way. Yeah. Apparently a lot of people struggle with the meaning behind the phoenix and the turtle, but it is a love story between a phoenix and a turtle dove. That it's Shakespeare, so it ends tragically. But on we go. Roll number 4. That was an odd card, and that was to read my most anticipated read, and for that I read Of Claws and Inferno by Kyoko M, and I most definitely read that. I love this book. This is a great series. You must read it. So good. So good. Next roll was an even, and that was to read the first book in a series. And for that I read Legend of the Phoenix Resurgence by Joel Poe, and this is the first book in the Eternal Grind series, and it is a lit RPG, and I did read that. It's very interesting. Next roll was another odd card, and that was a friend pick, and I did have my hubby pick my book for that one, and he picked Katana of Trust by A.C. Ward, and this is the first book in the Cami Prophecy series, and it was good. I did read that. My next roll I landed on Our Fantasy Bingo, and for that I chose The River Enchanted, and this is by Rebecca Ross, and I have not read this yet. I still have a week. This is also on my Magical Readathon. So I'm pretty sure I will get to this one. Now I just finished the audiobook I was currently reading, so I will most likely pick this one up next. So I should have this one finished before the end of the month. My next role was an even, and that was to read a business book. And for that I chose Eat That Frog, and that is by Brian Tracy. And I am currently reading that. I have about an hour left, and I will definitely get that one done before the end of the month. This one I'm going through really slow because I'm trying to take notes because it's got some really good information in there. So I am almost done, and I will have that one completed by the end of the month. Next up was another even card, and that was to read a Gothic book. And for that I read The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, and I did read that. I actually listened to it twice because it was so interesting. Next was family time at the Crafty Dog House with my mom and or my aunt. We did some baking. We made Pop-Tarts. It was super fun. Next roll was an even card, and that was a random letter generator, and I did get an H, and for that I read Hex Life, and that is by a variety of different authors. It's a collection of short stories, and I did read that, and it was quite interesting. Next roll I landed on 24 in 2024, and that was to read The Heart of the Bloodstone by Philena Wood, and I have not read that yet. It is part of the Magical Readathon though, so I'm going to try and get to that. So that's 2.5 books so far that I have not read yet. Next up is another odd card, and that was a buddy read. I did choose Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and this is the first book in the Fae and Alchemy series, and I have not read that one either. So that's 3.5 books I have not read yet, and this one is over 500 pages. So getting a little nervous. Only a week left. At least with Aurelium, with the Guild Emporium, I could use some of my savings to get an extension for the Magical Readathon, which doesn't help me with TBR-opoly. Because that punishment means I have to, whatever I didn't finish that was on my TBR, I have to read that first before I can start my next month's TBR. But I do have that reward that I can skip next punishment, so I will probably be using that. We'll see how much I can cram into the next week. So the next roll was an odd, and it was for a Kickstarter book. And for that, I drew Dead Stars, which you can't really see it because I started folding it back up, but Dead Stars Part 2. But that's the 4th book in the series, and I have only read the first one so far. So I picked the 2nd book in the series, and I will put that prompt back into my Kickstarter jar. The 2nd book in the series is Pale Kings by Bengali, and this is the 2nd book in the Emaneska series. And I have not read that one either, and it's also over 500 pages. So, yeah. Next roll, yes, we're still going. And that was an even, and that was to do a feed scroll, and I did a feed scroll on a Storygraph, and I got Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and this is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles, and I did read that one. My next roll, I landed on NetGalley, and I read Do Bigger Things by Dan McClure, and I did read that. My next roll was an A to Z challenge, and I got J, and I chose A Jonathan Strange and Mr. Knurl by Susanna Clark. And I did read that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was wonderful. It was very much a Sherlock Holmes style writing to me, and I thought it was very fun. I was highly entertained. My next roll was an even card, and that was to read the next book in the Shadow Magic series, and I read Beyond the Veil by Pippa DaCosta, and this is the first book in the Veil series, and I did read that. And my last and final roll for September was an odd card, and that was to read a small book under 300 pages, and for that I chose Sweet Daryusia by Maria Matios, and I did read that, and I did enjoy that as well. It was a very interesting book. So out of 19 rolls for September, I have not read 5 of them. 2 of those are over 500 pages. Oh, and one of those is over 600 pages. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to finish. We're going to call this a fail. But a very enjoyable one because I have read some amazing books. And I read a whole bunch of books that weren't on my TBR either, so I've probably read 19 books, just not on my TBR. But that's okay. Stay tuned for my September wrap-up coming out in a couple weeks to find out what other books I read that were not on my original TBR and to see how I did on all the readathons. All right, now for October. As you will have seen from my last video, I am doing 13 spooky reads, and I will try and vlog that throughout the month and share with you each of my spins and what books I end up reading and all of that, and just having a little fun with that. So I hope you enjoy those vlogs. Those spins will kind of be separate from my TBR stuff, sort of. I will try and fit as many of those 31 books that I have on that spinner wheel into my TBR-opoly and the Spookoplathon, just in case. That way I read them regardless. But hopefully I don't read them before I actually get the spin, because then I'd have to spin again. I'll have to think about that. Maybe I'll read some of those towards the end. Save those ones for last on my TBR. All right, so I got a punishment. I'm going to use my reward that you saw at the beginning that I had in September, and that was to skip my next punishment. So I will definitely be doing that. I will do my TBR-opoly first, then I will do Spookoplathon at the end. And my videos are always chaptered, so if you want to skip around, if you want to just see the Spookoplathon, feel free to jump ahead to that chapter. If you like the TBR, go ahead and keep on watching. Let's go ahead and find out how many rolls I will be doing. All right, I'm going to go back to my D12 to decide how many rolls I will be doing in October. 12, of course. All right, 12 it is. I really was hoping for a smaller number, but that's okay. All right, 12 rolls. Less than last month. I will definitely take it because last month, September, it was definitely crazy with 19 rolls. Whew. All right, let's just get right on into roll number 1. I ended on this square in September, so that's where I'm going to start. So roll 1 of 1. All right, well, starting off with a bang. Doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is an even card. And that is a spoopy book. Well, that's fitting for October. And of course, gotta start off with a double. I only have 12 rolls, so I might as well make it 13, which, I mean, it is spooky season, so 13 is fitting. Roll number 1 was an even card, and that was to read a spoopy book. So a scary feeling book, but not scary. More atmospheric than scary. And for that, I chose Ghost in the Spell by Renee George, and that is the 5th and final book in the Grimoires of a Middle-Aged Witch series, and I love that series. I cannot wait to continue. Well, now roll 2 of 13. 10. That's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Another even card. And that is to read a dystopian. Ooh, that's also fitting for October. Roll number 2 was another even card, and that was to read a dystopian. Also pretty fitting for October. And for that, I chose Monsters Born and Made, and this is by Tanvi Burla. Very excited to give this one a try. Roll 3 of 13. Of course, another double. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, and another even card. This is so weird. Okay, a book club book. Well, that's good because I am still part of a couple book clubs, and the Catch-Up Book Club starts up again in October. Roll number 3. Of course, it's another double. So we are now at 3 of 14. It's fine. we'll make it. And that was an even card. And that was to read a book club book. And for this, I will be reading The Shepherd's Crown by Terry Pratchett. And this is the 41st and final book in the Discworld series. It has been an amazing journey in the Around the Disc read along with literary diversions, and I am super excited to finish this series off. It's just been a fun ride, but I am excited to get into some other books. Okay, off to a great start. Okay, roll 4 of now 14. Oh my gosh. Okay, more doubles. Apparently I am meant to read way too many books this month. Okay, 1, 2. Well, oh, hey, a non-reading prompt. All right. Work on a house project. I will take it. Roll number 4. It's another double. Of course it's another double. Okay, so we are now at 15 rolls. But TBR did kind of even it out just a little bit and gave me a non-reading prompt, and that is to work on a house project. So there's a few different little projects we have going around the house, and one of them is I definitely need to finish the other Adirondack chair because it's looking not good. Okay, roll 5 of now 15. Phew, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even card. So I was telling you last month that the game was just too nice to me the last few months. YA. And now it is catching up with me. All right, roll 5 of 15. And that was an even card, and that is to read a YA book. And I chose Death Whispers, and this is by Tamara Rose Blodgett, and it is the first book in the Death series, volume 1. So mine is a mashup of the first 3 books, but I'm only going to be reading the first one because they're all decent length books, so I'm not going to try and read all of them, especially not with 15 rolls. Do I press my luck? No, I'm not going to. I'm going to play it safe in October. So Death Whispers, that's what I'm doing. First book in the Death series. And I usually get a ton of odd cards, but I've never had pretty much like 4 even cards in a row. Very interesting. Okay, roll 6 of 15. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another even card. This is so weird. A reread. Roll number 6 of 15 was an even card, and that is to do a reread. Which there's a lot of books I would like to read again, but I just did a bunch of rereads. I don't really have anything on my list to reread, but I do love this book, and I've already read it twice, but I'm going to read it again just because I love it so much. It's one of my favorite books ever, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, the first book in the Six of Crows duology. I love this series. Kaz and Inej, just the best characters. Yes, love them. And I think they were cast really well in the TV show. Okay, roll number 7 of 15. Ooh, jump the plate. 7. Hey, finally an odd number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 7. And that is a classic. There are quite a few classics I still need to get to. Roll number 7, I landed on classics. And for that, I will be reading The Professor by Charlotte Bronte, and I'm getting close to have read all of her books now, and so I'm excited to get one more in there. And it's on the shorter side, so that's good. Roll 8 of 15. All right, 5, doing good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our fantasy bingo. Perfect. Things are looking better. Roll number 8. I landed on Our Fantasy Bingo. And for that, I'm going to read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Very long title, but looks really fun. It's on my Our Fantasy Bingo TBR. It's also on my 13 Spooky Reads TBR, and just it's being hyped up all over the place right now. Everybody's talking about it again that hasn't read it yet, because we're coming up on October and the spooky season, so it's a great book for that. Roll 9 of 15. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. An odd card. First one of the game. An indie book. Ooh, that's a good one. Roll 9 of 15. I got an odd card, and for that, I'll be reading an indie book. There's a lot of rolls. Feel free to get some tea or water or some rasa. Peppermint cacao rasa. So good. And for this, for my indie book, I will be reading Blood Hunter by Morgan Quaid. And this is the Petra Graves Chronicles Book 1, a Seven Hungers novel. And it just looked interesting. I just kind of went through my Kindle and found a bunch of interesting spooky books that I got for free at some point over the last few years, and it's time to read them all. Roll 10 of 15. 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, a D20 roll. Got my D20 list, so let's go ahead and roll the D20. 1. The Heart of the Bloodstone by Philina Wood. I'm actually reading that in September. So I'm going to have to roll that one again, because by the time October comes around, I will have already read that. So let's try it again. All right, 2. Well, might as well just keep going up the numbers, right? So ACOTAR, the first book in the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. So I guess I will be reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. Roll number 10 of 15. I landed on the D20 space, and my first roll, as you saw, is Heart of the Bloodstone, which is by Philina Wood. And of course, that's on my September TBR. I will try and get to that one this month. If I don't, then I will use that for this prompt. If I do finish it in September, then the next roll that I did was for A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, the first book in the ACOTAR series. Either one of those is just fine with me. Although I think ACOTAR is actually a little shorter, so be rooting for that one. We'll see if I can get the Heart of the Bloodstone finished this month or not. All right, roll 11 of 15. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, another non-reading prompt. Go on a hike. Ooh, that'll be nice. My husband will like that one too. Feel like the game is making it up to me just a little bit with all those 3 doubles at the beginning of the game. Hey, TBRopolis being a little nicer again. So roll 11 was a non-reading prompt, and that is to go on a hike. I'm very excited for this, and I know my hubby is excited for it because we were supposed to go on a hike this weekend, and somehow I have no idea what I did. I think it was a bunch of little small things that just accumulated, and I totally threw my back out. So I have just been hobbling around the house the last few days, and we did not get to go on our hike. So yeah, oh, that's the other house project. We need to finish moving a bunch of rock, and I wasn't able to help with that either. So that might be the priority project actually for my house project, for my other non-reading prompt from roll number 4. Yeah. Roll 12 of 15. So that would be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another even card. An adult book. I feel like I just had that one not too long ago. So at the end of each month, I do come in and I put whatever cards I had, I put them at the back of it. And then whenever the game refreshes at the beginning of the year, I then shuffle all of the cards again, add any new prompts I want, remove any I don't want anymore, shuffle them all together, and then I put them back in here, and then I just draw from the top and put the ones I've drawn at the bottom Not sure if I've mentioned that before. Roll number 12 out of 15, an even card, and that is to read an adult book. And for that, I will be reading Empire of the Vampire, the first book in the series by Jay Kristoff, and I've been looking forward to reading this one for quite a while. I'm finally getting it on my TBR. Roll 13 of 15, so here's all my extra doubles. Okay. I had to mention word doubles because I would have been done at the last roll, but no, we had to get another one. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's another even. So I'm thinking I drew another even and it gave me more doubles. So I think it's the Curse of the Even cards. The Fated series, which I had that one last year, but I haven't had that one this year yet. And of course, roll number 13 is another double. 16 books. Yeah, okay, but at least 2 non-reading prompts, so that's only 14. So yeah, okay, 16 books. We'll make it. And for this, it is another even card, and that is to continue with the Fated series. And I read the first book, I believe it was last year, and I think it was called Awaken. And I did enjoy that one, so it'll be interesting to continue to the second book, and that is Shifting, which is the second book in the Fated series by Rachel Humphrey Daigle, also known as Rachel Humphrey Quinn. She goes by a few different ways of saying her name. So Rachel Humphrey Daigle, I think, is this one. Some of her other books, she does have the Quinn in there too. I do have the first 4 books in a box set, so I will be putting that prompt back into circulation. All right, roll 14 of 16 now. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another even card. Trials of Apollo. This is great because I need to get to the next book in this series. Roll number 14 of 16 was another even card, and that is to read the next book in the Trials of Apollo series, which is great. And I will be reading The Tyrant's Tomb by Rick Riordan, which is the 4th book in the Trials of Apollo. Roll 15 of 16. Almost done. Oh. How does that happen? It's like totally on the edge. It's not one or the other. So I think I'm going to have to re-roll that one. So let's try that again. 15 of 16. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Odd card. Black or Fire on the cover. That's always a good one, especially for October. Roll 15 of 16 was an odd card, and that was to read a book with a black or fire on the cover. And for that, I'm going to be reading Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar, and this is the first book in the Gunmetal Gods series. I'm very excited about reading this series. Roll 16 of 16. Last and final roll. Yes, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Another odd card. Magical Creature. So this could be in the book or on the cover or in the title. Either way. And then, thank goodness, no more doubles. Roll 16 of 16. I got an odd card, and that was to read a book about a magical creature. And I have quite a few I could use for this one, but I decided to go with Cthulhu's Children by J.E. Murphy. I mean, look at that guy. It's kind of hard to see on the Kindle. I may pop up the colored cover so you can see, but yeah, that is a very interesting looking monster. Cthulhu's Children by J.E. Murphy. Now let's move on to readathons. Let's start with Buzzwordathon. The Buzzwordathon word for October is relationships. So you need to have some kind of word that signifies relationship. So mother, daughter, children, marriage, sister, sisterhood, something like that. And for this one, I chose Something is Killing the Children by James Tinian IV. And for Adventures in Aldia, the year-long readathon with G at Book Roast, For Karasu, he needed to read a book that was currently popular. And for this one, I chose The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, because everyone's talking about it again because it's the spooky season. For Ariel, she needs to read a book either about a house or where the house is the main character. And for this one, I chose Loftus, and it's a long title, so let me look at it again here. So Loftus, The Hall of Dreams, and this is behind the myth of Ireland's most haunted house, which sounds amazing, and it's by Helena B. Scott, and of course it's all about a haunted house. Okay, now we're done with the year-long readathons. Let's move on into the month ones with Becca's Spookoplathon. Alright, so what I decided to do is I'm just going to roll separately for Becca's Spookoplathon and treat it separately and try and get books from my TBRopoly onto Spookoplathon. So here we go with how many rolls I will be doing. See, so these are my chance cards and my community shelf cards. I'm just using my odd and even cards for that. Alright, let's roll to see how many rolls I will be doing for Spookoplathon. 6. So I got 6 rolls, so I will be rolling 6 times with Spookoplathon, and I'm very excited to get started with this one. So let's head to roll number 1. My 2 6-sided die. I got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Present. I landed on Present, so it's kind of the book that you're in the mood to read right now. And for that, I chose Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar, the first book in the Gunmetal Gods series. Roll number 2. 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Bone. Poor little guitar smurf. Roll number 2, I landed on Bone. So your book cover needs to be some kind of bone covered color. So it could be white or ivory or off-white or any kind of cream color, like any color that bone may be at some point in time, whether it's aged or new or whatever. And for this one, it's kind of funny. So I will first show you the 2 different covers I have on my Kindle for it, and then I will show you the cover from Goodreads for it, because they're all different. Yeah. So this one, for the little thumbnail, it's this one, which that one cracks me up. It's hilarious. So it actually has bone on the cover. So I mean, that's a skeleton, so bone color. But then when you open the book, oh, that's weird. Okay, so it showed it now, but when I brought it up for my TBRopoly, because this is the same book that's on my TBRopoly, it was like a totally different cover. That's so weird. So weird. Okay. Anyway, I love that he's like, I don't know, flipping us off or whatever there. It's pretty funny. But then here's the book cover also from Goodreads, and they all have bone color on them. So excited to give that one a try and see what the series is all about. I mean, this cover is really intriguing me. It's very interesting. Death Whispers by Tamara Rose Blodgett, and that's the first book in the Death series. Roll number 3. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Grady Hendrix. Roll number 3, I landed on Grady Hendrix, and for this one you can choose the prompt meaning, or you can just read a Grady Hendrix book, and well, I have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix on my TBR already, so let's go ahead and read that for this prompt as well. All right, roll number 4. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A big book over 500 pages. Roll number 4, I landed on big book over 500 pages. And for that, I will definitely be picking Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff, the first book in the Empire of the Vampire series. Roll number 5. 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Present again. And roll number 5, I landed on present again. Like, what are the odds of that? That only 6 rolls and you land on the same space twice. Interesting. But again, it's kind of that mood read, what you want to read right now. So that is an amazing prompt and very helpful. And I will be reading A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, the first book in the ACOTAR series. Unless for some reason I don't finish The Heart of the Bloodstone by Philomena Wood, then I will read that one. All right, 6th and final roll. 3. 1, 2, 3. Leatherface. And then roll 6 of 6. I landed on Leatherface. And for that one, I chose Ghost in the Spell, the first book in the Grimoires of a Middle-Aged Witch series by Renee George. Very much looking forward to reading that one. And then lastly, we have Library of Dragons side quest with Books to Ashes, and I will leave the links to all of the readathons down below in case you want to participate as well. And for this one, it's all about your career building. So there's 2 prompts that everyone needs to do, and then you can choose one career, or you can choose a career and kind of a part-time gig and read an extra book for that one. So everyone pretty much has 3 books they need to read, but if you want to go extra, there's 4. And of course, even with all the extra books, I'm still going extra, because you know me. So the first prompt is Dragon's Hoard, and for that you need to have gold or silver on the color, and she did say that we could use gold colors, so yellow or silver colors, so like white or silver. It doesn't necessarily have to be foiling on the cover. And for this I will be reading ACOTAR Book 1, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, and the title is all in yellow. And then for closing shifts, we need to read a book that ends with the final page number of a 3 or a 5. And for that, I will be reading Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar, the first book in the series, and this one is 475 pages. And then for my 2 careers, my career and my kind of side career, I will be choosing Apothecary Shopkeeper, and this one you need to read a book that features witches, wizards, or medicine. And for this I will be reading Ghost in the Spell by Renee George, the first book in the Grimoires of a Middle-Aged Witch series. And then lastly I chose a librarian/scribe, and for this one you need to read a book about books. And one thing that is amazing is this was also a prompt for the Magical Readathon, and she said that if we read the book for that prompt in September for our Magical Readathon, we can count that in October for this prompt. Only this prompt, because it's not always easy to find a book about books. So for that one, I just finished reading today Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and this is definitely a book about books. There was a lot of book burning in this book, which is really sad, but it's a book all about books, and it is wonderful. It's super short, and surprisingly, I had no idea. I pulled up the audiobook, I started listening, and I'm like, wait, this is Tim Robbins. Is this Tim Robbins? Yeah, this is Tim Robbins. So that was really fun. I love Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorite movies. So Fahrenheit 451, if you can find the one with Tim Robbins, he does a great job with the audiobook narration. And if for some miraculous reason I finish my TBR and I'm able to complete one more book, then I will read a different book for this prompt. And that would be The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. So if for some reason I do have time, and then I will get to this one. If not, then I am counting Fahrenheit 451 for the prompt. And as the way September went, I don't know if I'm gonna have extra time to read one more book, because there's still a lot of books, not just the 5 on my TBR that I didn't finish, but there's probably another 5 on my readathon TBRs that I didn't finish. So yeah, send me all the good reading love over here, and hopefully I can get some of those 5 books finished before the end of the month. I have 1 week left, so yeah, I don't think I could do a book a day with 3 of them under 650 pages. Yeah, okay, well Thank you so much for joining me today. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you want it, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other bookish content. And if you made it this far in the video, leave a giant book stack emoji in the comments to let me know that you are here. And until next time, keep reading. Bye.